Welcome back everyone, this is GTA Failer. In our last video we completed the final Avery mission. It was called 2-Bit Hit. This video is all about the penultimate Cortez mission. It's called Sir Yes Sir. Here we learn that Cortez suspects Diaz of having messed up the drug deal in the very beginning of the game.
Although I'm starting to think that Diaz was responsible for our unfortunate loss.
So that makes two characters who suspect Diaz as the person who ambushed that drug deal in the beginning of the game. In the Diaz mission, The Fastest Boat, Lance Vance told us that he knew it was Diaz that busted up the deal, and now here we hear that Cortez also suspects Diaz, so we're going to have to get to the bottom of this and maybe put Diaz in his place in a future mission. At the end of this cutscene, Cortez asks Tommy to call him after the mission is complete, but Tommy never does. The idea behind this mission is that Cortez has someone who wants to buy a tank, and it just so happens that at this exact moment, there is a military convoy escorting a tank to a safe house. So our job is to steal that tank and store it in a garage for Cortez. Passing this mission awards $2,000 and unlocks the only Kent Paul mission in the game. That mission is called Death Row. Reading from the wiki, the name of this mission, Sir Yes Sir, is a reference to a soldier's response to a superior officer in the military, and we'll actually hear one of the soldiers say exactly that, Sir Yes Sir, in this mission. The troops in this mission only carry Ruger assault rifles, unlike the soldiers patrolling Fort Baxter Air Base that wield the deadly M4 assault rifles, or the 6-star wanted level soldiers that wield MP5s. Pretty soon in this mission, we're going to hear the phrase Delta India Echo, and so I'm going to read from Wikipedia about the NATO phonetic alphabet. It is the most widely used set of clear code words for communicating the letters of the Roman alphabet. We'll come back to the NATO phonetic alphabet momentarily, but let's get into the heart of the mission right here. Find a way to steal the tank. Yup. So you can see that the convoy stopped because our car was in the way, and then we tried going into the tank by just opening the door, but the tank is locked. Find a way to lure out the occupants. All right, how about we just kill the occupants, or at least one of them? Civilian move away from the tank. What's up with the gunner? Don't know, sir. Get topside, soldiers, sir. Yes, sir. So that was the Sir Yes Sir we were talking about. Drop the tank off in the colonel's lockup before it self-destructs. Colonels should have an apostrophe. So there's that Delta India Echo thing I was talking to you about. We'll come back to that later in this video, but for now we'll just say that as soon as we got in the tank, there was a pink square put on the map. That's the target destination. That's Colonel Cortez's garage that we're supposed to put this tank into. There's a detonation meter on the top right, slowly filling up, and I'll show you what happens if you let it fill up, but for now this is our vanilla pass. Drive the tank into the garage. You got it. Get out of the tank and walk out of the garage. Can do. And it's another mission pass, $2,000. Gimme, gimme. So now I'll go over some of the fail states and some of the quirks of this mission. In this case, I'll show you that you really don't need to interact with the soldiers at all. You can just shoot the gunner in the tank. One bullet is enough. And then hop in the tank. In my vanilla attempt, I shot some of these soldiers, but you don't need to. You just steal the tank and drive away. There's really nothing that they can do. But I'm not going to pass this particular mission attempt. Instead, I'm going to try to destroy the tank, show you what happens if you destroy the tank. And the easiest way that I could think of to destroy the tank was to drive it into the water. And so once you get far enough in, mission fail, the tank has been destroyed. I was actually trying to get out of the water myself, didn't make it. I feel bad for this soldier who was just dropped to the water to instantly drown. Poor guy. If you let the detonation meter fill up, there's a funny line right before the tank self-destructs. And of course you fail when the tank blows up. Reading from the wiki, the line "prepare to die communist scum" is probably a reference to the Soviet-phobic paranoia in the 1980s, illustrated in the 1984 movie Red Dawn.
Go get some donuts, soldier! Sir, yes, sir! Convoy, halt! Target acquired, sir! Okay, platoon, moving out!
So there you saw that if you let the convoy get to the Kalegi Delicatessen restaurant, then they make the very important stop of getting some donuts. And it's actually one of the guys in the tank that has the task of going out to get the donuts. It turns out they have a destination in mind all the way in the far south of Viceport. And you can see that there's this garage here at the end of this road that opens and then closes once the tank gets in, and you fail. The tank arrived at its destination safely. I've never seen that garage door open in 1,000 hours of playing this game, but this building has a purpose. So then I decided to go down to this safe house area early, and you can see that it opens up. The tank is nowhere near where I am, but it's got some trigger way north of here. And let's just explore. Look out, look out. I was not not counting on getting attacked by two soldiers inside of this building. Okay, so with the soldiers out of the way, we're free to explore. You can see that this wall, it looks like it's not solid, but it is. Where am I now? Okay, little cut there. We're kind of back in a doorway area. I don't know why it's made to be a doorway. It doesn't go anywhere. But we kind of lost control of the camera there for a moment. Let's keep looking around. We got some shelves over here and some boxes. Can we read any of the writing? I think that the word intercontinental is up there at the top, but it's really blurry. And here I'm pointing out that you can see through, like up to the sky, all the way along the roof line here. And you can also see through a couple of doors going outside, but you can't walk through them. So let's try door number 3. Nope. Solid, even though it doesn't look it. I mean, it looks solid from the outside, just not from the inside. They didn't bother to program that. And now I'm back inside, and it turns out I can shoot through this door, even though it is solid and I can't walk through it. And now we're going to have some fast-forwarded parts, just kind of waiting for things to happen. Find a way to steal the tank. All right, so the tank has eventually decided to show up, and then it says convoy halt, get the civilian vehicle out of the way. I think the vehicles they're talking about are these 2 police cars that are inside this garage. They're not civilian vehicles, and they're also not my vehicles. So now we're going to do a lot of fast forwarding because the NPCs just didn't know how to handle this particular configuration of vehicles and me standing inside of this garage. Note that the soldiers aren't shooting at me even when I stand right in front of them because I haven't activated them yet, not until I get into the Patriot here and then defensive positions. Okay, so we'll drive the Patriot into the garage. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to fast forward through a lot of gunfire here. And I had to use the health cheat code a couple of times because I was taking hits. So eventually, I kill all of the soldiers in here, and the mission is still stuck. Here I'm getting shot at by a soldier who's outside the building, and I can't shoot him. This is nonsense. There's the health cheat code again. But look, he should be dead. He's shooting me through a solid wall, and I can't shoot him back. Not fair. Not fair. Okay, so eventually, after all of this is done, I decide to vacate the garage, and the garage door closes behind me, and the tank arrived at its destination safely. So it couldn't close with me inside, which makes sense. In the next clip, I'll show you what happens if you put a vehicle in the way of the convoy, or if you yourself get in the way of the convoy.
Convoy, halt! Get that civilian vehicle out of our way!
You think
Sir,
you're a tough
moving
guy,
vehicle,
do ya?
sir! Get that civilian out of our way, soldier! Sir, yes, sir! This is a military convoy. Do not obstruct our route.
Sir, yes, sir. I will not obstruct your route. I will try to do your job for you, though, and bring the tank all the way down to this garage in the far south of the island, and it's locked. I was ready to put it in and failed the mission on my own, but the game will not allow me to do that. In the coming clip, I've again allowed the tank to get all the way into the garage at the far south of the island. I've killed all the soldiers. We will take this tank and drive out a little bit. I discovered that these soldiers here weren't acting very aggressively towards me. In fact, they looked like they were mannequins. So we'll get out here and have a short conversation with the soldier here on the left. How you doing, bud? So he's not aggressive to me even when I shoot him once. He was fine. He was wearing a bulletproof vest. And then I drove the tank like a block away and then back in, just to see if the garage door would close behind me this time and I would fail. Well, the garage door did close behind me, but I didn't fail. In fact, there's still the pink arrow over the tank saying, go get it, but I can't because the building is now inaccessible to me. So we'll skip ahead to the end of the countdown timer, and mission failed. The tank was destroyed, even though I deposited it in good faith into the garage the military wanted it in the first place.
Sir, yes, sir! This is a military convoy. Do not obstruct our route. Drop him, soldier!
There, I learned that if the military asks you to get out of the way, then you should respectfully oblige, otherwise they will drop you.
Convoy, halt! I said move away, immediately! Sir, moving vehicle, No, sir. I said move away immediately. Drop him, soldier.
I just cannot catch a break. I am just a working guy here in my Spand Express outfit. I like marching in unison. Just that whole concept is appealing to me, and I just get shot at. Ridiculous. If you watched my True 100% Plus series on GTA 3, you'll know that I was always a big fan of standing on top of NPC-controlled vehicles during missions and just getting a ride somewhere. And right now, we are living the dream here in Vice City. Awesome, awesome. I wasn't sure if they would attack me for standing on the roof of this Patriot, but no, they're here for it. I wonder if they'll get me a donut. In this attempt, I stole the tank and drove it all the way up here to the Hyman safe house and stored it in my garage. It will explode, of course, when the detonation meter fills up, but because it's in the garage, if I can get out of the garage and let the garage door close and work its magic, then I will have a working tank. So this is an easy way to get yourself a tank for the rest of the game, as long as you don't mind having a mission fail in your stats menu. In our case, we have access to the tank as a fixed spawn over at the military base, but that's only because we've already collected at least 90 hidden packages. In this attempt, I very slowly and methodically pushed the mission-specific tank over to near the safe house. I think it's possible to do this entire push without ever getting into the mission-specific tank, but I damaged the tank so much that it caught on fire, unfortunately, and I didn't feel like doing that dull push again. You will have to get into the mission-specific tank, even for just a moment, just so that you can get that pink glow to show up right in front of Cortez's garage, and then I think the rest of it you can just do by pushing the mission-specific tank with the different tank. So I don't think you need to drive the mission-specific tank, but I do think you need to get into it, at least for a moment. If you're playing the definitive edition of this game, there is a trophy that you can get on this mission, and it involves not alerting the soldiers until you are in the tank. And so in this case, if you just kind of wait until they stop to go get a donut, I think that that's one way you can get the trophy. Here I'll demonstrate that Cortez's garage is not quite programmed correctly in terms of the way that it looks. So we'll pass the mission. This is in double speed. We've got walls on either side of the tank that look and behave correctly. But then if we go in one of these other garages, well, there's no wall in between, except there is. You can't actually walk through, but it looks like there's no wall between. And the same thing from this side, right? You can't see the tank. You just see an empty space. The rest of the garage behaves just fine. So here's my final attempt at this mission. We'll give you my challenge here, and that's to be pacifist again. I want to use no weapons, not even my fists. I am going to have to carjack somebody here, but I want to see if I can pass this without any weapons. There's another challenge that I have for myself, and that's to get the unique vehicle in this mission. That's right, there's a unique vehicle. It's this one. This Patriot isn't bulletproof, fireproof, none of those things, but apparently it's a unique color. There's a website I've been following for all the unique vehicles. It says this one is a unique gray color. To me, it looks like kind of a washed out green. I wouldn't call it gray necessarily, but apparently you cannot get this particular color from any pay and spray if you bring a normal Patriot into a pay and spray. Also, if you bring this Patriot into a pay and spray, it doesn't change the color. So it definitely isn't expecting this color, and it won't change it if you already have it. So there you go. Unique vehicle acquired, and now we'll head back down to the location of all the soldiers and the tank, and we will try to steal it and complete the mission, again, without any weapons. So I'll take some damage here when I get close to the soldiers, but with 300 hit points, I've got plenty that I can tank a few hits here. And once you've engaged the soldiers and they start shooting at you, the tank becomes unlocked, so you can just walk right in without any weapons that are used. So again, listen to this protocol here.
Security protocol. Delta India Echo trigger. Vehicle self-destruct initiated.
So now finally I'll return to reading from Wikipedia about the NATO phonetic alphabet. To create the code, a series of international agencies assigned 26 clear code words acrophonically to the letters of the Roman alphabet, with the goal that the letters would be easily distinguishable from one another over radio and telephone. The words were chosen to be accessible to speakers of English, French, and Spanish. Some of the code words have changed over time, but the code words have been stable since 1956. I'll read the code words for you now. A becomes Alpha, B becomes Bravo, C becomes Charlie, D becomes Delta, and now I'll just read the code words. Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, November, Oscar, Papa, Quebec, Romeo, Sierra, Tango, Uniform, Victor, Whiskey, X-Ray, Yankee, Zulu. So recall that the protocol was Delta India Echo, and each of these phonetic alphabet characters stands for one single letter. You just look at the first letter in the word. So Delta becomes D, India becomes I, Echo becomes E. So Delta India Echo becomes DIE, or die, which is just a little joke that I never caught on to after 1,000 hours of playing this game. Only realized it when I was making this episode. But Delta India Echo becomes die, the code for the tank exploding if you wait too long to get to the garage. Driving to our next mission marker, which doesn't actually exist on the map yet, but it's going to be at the Malibu, and it's going to be the one and only mission from Kent Paul, and the K will show up on the map over at the Malibu once we take a phone call after I get out of the car. I'll refill my health, but I'll point out one Britishism that Paul is going to use. At the very beginning of the phone call, he's going to say, "All right, me old China." And China is short for China plate, which is just a rhyme for the British word mate, which means friend or pal. So old China is really short for China plate, mate. So when he says, "All right, my old China," he's really saying, "All right, mate. All right, friend."
All right, me old China, it's Paul. I might have a little result for you, but I need to speak to you in person. I'm enjoying a little R&R at the Club Malibu. I reckon you're going to owe me a favour or two out of this sunshine. I'll see you later.
So that's the Cortez mission, sir, yes, sir, done. If you have any memories of this mission, go ahead and share them in the comments. I think it's a fun mission with a neat sense of humor. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you real Sierra Oscar November.